Good evening and welcome to tonight's Common Council meeting for March 28th, 2023. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Nelson.
Yes, or here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Mansdorf. Here. Penquitz.
Here.
Odekirk. Present. Hanson.
Present.
Shilsky.
Present.
Gilson.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next is the pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second, Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Hanson.
Yes.
Mansdorf. Yes. Shilsky.
Yes.
Penquitz.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Odekirk. Yes. Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the audience portion where we ask people to be signed in and recognized by the chair. That's where you do the talking and we do the listening. Tonight, the first person that signed in is John Nelson.
I just wanted to mention a few things about the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee. And mostly the name of that committee maybe is a bit misleading in that really our focus is workforce housing and especially elderly housing as well. I think some people are confused by the current title. Maybe some point we'll actually change the name of it. I don't know if that's necessary, but I just wanted people to make sure that the focus of the group is to try to get housing for workers that are employed in their companies, the companies that are involved in this effort, and other companies too, of course, and the elderly, which seem to have a hard time finding housing that they can afford in the area. So that's my only comments.
Good, thank you. Next person that signed in is Jim Hash? Hash. My apology. Please, Jim?
Thank you.
You can use your outside voice so we can hear you. The microphone will pick you up.
Sounds good.
Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen of the electorate, I'm running for Circuit Court Branch 2 here in Sheboygan County, and I want to take a couple minutes just to introduce myself and who I am. But before I do that, I'd like us all to observe just a few moments of silence for that tragedy that took place in Nashville, Tennessee, please. Thank you. As I indicated to you, my name is Jim Hash. I'm running for Circuit Court Branch 2. I graduated in 1984 from Marquette University with a Bachelor of Arts degree, cum laude in German literature and German language. I graduated from Marquette University Law School in 1987 with an emphasis on trial practice. From 1987 to 2019, I was employed as an assistant district attorney here in Sheboygan County, where I tried approximately 300 jury trials and spent over $30,000 in the courts of Sheboygan County. After that, I went to the city attorney's office in the city of Sheboygan, where I practiced law there on a part-time basis in the part-time municipal court. The circuit court is different than the municipal court, and I think that you should look at the websites of myself and my opponent to get more of our qualifications. In closing, I'm running for this position because I feel that I have the abilities, the temperament, and the experience in 35 years of practicing law to make a difference in Sheboygan County and to keep Sheboygan County safe. I thank you for your time tonight, and I ask for your vote on April 4th. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. And the last person that signed up tonight is Charlie Hanson. Charlie?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I continue to believe it's important that I think and we think compliment people and businesses in the community that promote businesses within the city and especially help our Plymouth City Council. And I'd like to, at this time, thank the Plymouth Review and mainly Emmett Fellner for his many years of coverage of the Plymouth City Council meetings and committee meetings that he goes to. I wonder myself how many different nights he spends away from home, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But that's fabulous that he does that. He's dedicated in his coverage. He looks at both sides of the issue, and there's been many times when he's given us updates in different meetings about information events and past practices of the city activities. And he also makes me sound good, so I definitely appreciate that. I believe that Emmett and the Plymouth Review would be in line to receive a proclamation stating our appreciation for their coverage of our events. And I would further recommend, upon Emmett's retirement, which I'm not sure when that ever will be because he goes and goes and goes, but we grant him a brick in recognition of his way more than 10 years of service to the city of Plymouth and as a reporter of the Plymouth City Business. So I'm hoping that we might consider him as dedicating the brick to him when he retires.
So you're dedicated a little bit ahead.
Thank you very much. Once again, we appreciate people signing up to tell the council and the public what's on their mind. We invite you always to come and sign in and be heard. Moving on, item 5, no items were removed from the consent agenda. Moving on to item 6. Moving on to item 6, we have a proclamation recognition of Maple Week in the city of Plymouth during the first week of April. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the proclamation so stated.
I'll move that we approve the proclamation as stated.
Second, Hildebrand.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I
Motion carried. Thank you. I looked to see if Barb was here. I was going to call on her and say, give me an answer. She would say yes, I know it. Okay, moving on to item 7, new business. Approval. The chair hereby nominates and asks for council approval of Mike Oleg to the Housing Authority. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Michael to the Housing Authority.
I second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item B, approval of engineering services agreement with Aries Associates to assist the city in making the decision on whether to remove the Mullet River Dam completely or make necessary upgrades, replace the dam to meet DNR regulations. I'll ask City Administrator Tim Blakesley to give us a summary on that, and then the chair will entertain a motion.
Sure. So in 2015, the City of Plymouth received a notice from the DNR requiring that the spillway capacity of the dam be brought into compliance within 10 years. So as part of that, the dam could be removed or upgraded or replaced, whatever meets the requirement. So as part of the 2023 budget, the city included funding to hire an engineering firm to provide services to help council make that decision. So we issued an RFQ in early 2023 this year. We did receive 2 responses from Kapoor and Associates and Ayers Associates. So after a review of both firms, city staff recommends the selection of Ayers Associates. They do have extensive experience in both dam removal and upgrade and replacement. The cost of the services is $28,883, which is within the 2023 budget allotment for this project. So in summary, as part of this, AIRS will conduct an on-site kickoff meeting. They'll present 4 alternatives, 3 upgrade alternatives or modification, and then 1 removal alternative to meet the DNR's requirements. They'll be analyzing the potential floodplain issues. They'll be developing 2D and 3D renderings. They'll be estimating project costs for each of the alternatives, including construction and engineering services. They'll provide research onto funding opportunities, including grants for all the alternatives. They'll be putting this together in a report, making a presentation to council, and also 2 public information meetings to educate the public. Staff does believe this is an important to complete the study, to know the alternates available for consideration, know the cost estimates and grant availability, know the potential floodplain issues, and provide education to the public. So tonight we do have Adam from AIRS on if you do have any questions. Following the report from AIRS, council would have to eventually make a decision on which way to go. So this report will help provide direction and opportunity for the community to provide feedback. AIRS recently did the City of Burlington Dam project. Burlington did, after their report, go out and do a non-binding advisory referendum from the public to get their feedback, which is another decision point or a point that can help council make a decision. So staff does recommend the approval. The AIRS Associates, Kathy Austin, Director Austin, is here tonight as well to provide some feedback if you have any technical questions. So staff is happy to answer questions as needed.
Thank you. With that, the chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I'll move that we hire AIRS and Associates to do the study.
Second.
We have
Second, Alder Hanson.
we have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Anything that you want to add, Kathy, to what Tim said? Then we'll start with Greg.
yeah, going through with this is fine, but it shouldn't be just a council decision. This needs to go to a referendum so that the people of Plymouth make this decision. Because it's going to be a lot of money one way or the other, and that's where the referendum comes in. It can't be a council decision at all. It's got to be from the people, that the taxpayers, the people that are going to pay for it. So we can go through with this, but then it needs to go to the citizens of Plymouth, and they need to have the input of what we're going to do, and that's why they have referendums.
Any other comments?
Mayor Pullman?
Alderman Hanson.
Yes, could I ask Adam Schneider a question about the referendum, non-binding one, what he says about that, or how that works for him? Or how we work with
Absolutely.
it?
Welcome, Adam. Did you hear the question clearly?
Yes, I did.
Okay, go ahead, please. Welcome.
Yeah, so what happened, a good example would be what happened this past fall for the city of Burlington. They found themselves in a very similar situation as you do in Plymouth, where they had a dam that needed some upgrades or it needed to be removed. Is really what the 2 options were. And to help the community make a decision, the city of Burlington hired AIRS to do a study very similar to what we're proposing here, looking at some options, what you would need to do to get the dam into compliance, or what would also be involved with removing the dam. And we presented that to both the city council, and then there were numerous community engagement meetings too, prior to their fall advisory referendum. It was non-binding. What the city of Burlington, what their citizens ultimately decided, it was about 60-40 to keep the dam in place. So that's what they're moving forward with in Burlington. But our role in it all really was just as a neutral party to just lay out what the options were. This is what you can expect having to do, get your dam into compliance. This is what it would look like. This is what it would cost. And the same is true with the dam removal option 2. This is likely what it would look like. This is what it would cost. The city was also interested in park improvements. They have a sizable park adjacent to their lake in downtown Burlington. So one of the things they also asked us to look at in detail were park improvements or if the dam were kept in place and improved, or if the dam were removed. Opening up that lake bed, that's a lot of extra space that was available in their situation for park development. So we presented those things. We had a lot of community engagement meetings, and we set up a website even actually for the city where interested people could go and look at what the options were and what the costs for those options would be. And yeah, that was all just to give people as much information as possible prior to the vote.
I have a question, Adam. What kind of time frame are you looking at once this is approved? Are we, what do we have?
Yeah, so right now, the time frame that I have laid out in the proposal is to have a report to the city within 150 days of our authorization to proceed. So that, I believe that'd be in September sometime, probably, late August or September. And that would line up well. I'm not sure, as far as if the city of Plymouth were to hold a referendum, I'm not sure what the timing of that would be. But another thing to consider too is the DNR's municipal dam grant program would potentially fund a considerable amount of either a repair or a removal for the Mullet River Dam. And we expect that the next application cycle will probably open up late summer, early fall. So I laid out our schedule to align well with that so that we would have something to present, the final product, in advance of that grant application. However, if you're moving forward with a referendum, I'm not sure what the timing associated with that would be, but right now we'd be looking at getting you something by the end of summer.
Okay, that's just a ballpark. I'm not trying to pin you down, but so we have some sort of time frame as we move forward here. Alder Hansen, you had another question?
A follow-up question with Attorney Fever, if possible. A binding referendum, a non-binding referendum, you have suggestions on this or a thought?
I think there are a couple of ways you could go about it. If you went with the binding referendum, what you would really be doing is asking the taxpayers if they are willing to pay for that. The binding referendum is a way that the council can exceed the net new construction tax levy limits. So it would be a way of funding whatever decision there is made to remove it or to make upgrades and improvements. So that would be one option for the binding referendum. You could exceed the otherwise limits on the tax levy. Otherwise, the non-binding referendum is really an opportunity to test the waters with the community and see what the people, what they're hoping to see happen with the dam.
Any other questions?
Question for Adam.
Alder Odekirk?
Adam, could you tell me roughly how much the Burlington project removal versus improving the dam was?
Yeah, real roughly, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but initially, this is for Burlington. I mean, I have no idea at this point what the situation would be like for the city of Plymouth. Obviously, we haven't done any work, but for the city of Burlington, we laid out, I think, 3 dam improvement alternatives that were in the range of maybe $2 to $3.5 million each. And then we had a dam removal alternative that was, I think, in the $2 to $3 million range. And then as a follow-up to that, the city wanted us to look at park improvements, as I mentioned. So what they actually went to a referendum with was a dam removal alternative with park improvements and a total estimated project cost of, I think it was in the 5 million range, and then equalized a dam repair alternative with park improvements that brought the total project cost into the $5 million range. They kind of wanted to equalize the cost for various reasons. It was complicated. But if initially just for the dam-related work, whether it was repair or removal, I think we were really looking at like the $2 to $3.5 million range.
I have a follow-up on that.
Yes, please.
Did that include any grant involvement?
Yes, the city of Burlington applied and received a commitment of funding from the Wisconsin DNR for a municipal dam grant. At the time that we applied for the grant on their behalf, which was like about a year ago, applications are generally due in March every other year. They weren't sure at the time because they didn't have a referendum, but they weren't sure yet if they wanted to remove or repair the dam. The DNR was okay with them applying either way, and they did receive a commitment to fund. In fact, everyone that applied the last cycle received a commitment to fund from the DNR. So since they are repairing the dam, the cost share is 50-50 up to a total DNR contribution of $1 million. So the city of Burlington, after construction is complete, will be getting a cost share from the DNR of $1 million.
Okay, but there's other grant funding sources. Especially for the.
Yeah, as far as dam-related expenses, though, by far, I think the municipal dam grant is going to be the largest opportunity for funding there. But yeah, there certainly would be other opportunities to look at too. With dam removal, there are funding opportunities usually available for habitat restoration, things like that. And also recreational improvements, access. So I do think other funding opportunities are possible, but I would expect that the municipal dam grant from the DNR would be the most significant chunk of funding that you could get.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Alder Nelson, you had a question?
In our information packet, I think it was stated that it's possible that as long as we're progressing forward, we may be able to get approval to push this out a couple more years yet. Is that possible, or?
Yeah, what we have found, it's hard to say is whether, I really can't commit to anything because I'm not the DNR, but in our experience, they're generally amenable to extending deadlines if they see that the community or the dam owner is making progress and that they're actually going to follow through on a project and they're not just stalling. So we haven't found any real problems with getting extensions in those cases. But as a matter of a couple of years, that I don't know. Generally, in my own personal experience, I've seen them extend deadlines for a year or two, but you just never know how that's going to go.
What is our current drop dead date that we're now under with the DNR timber, Kathy? Do you recall at all?
It's July of 2025.
July of 2025, okay.
Does that mean it's got to be done then, or started by then?
I believe it needs to be within compliance by then. So in my eyes, it'll be finished.
Alder Penquitz?
Adam, if we keep the dam or improve the dam as it is, do you provide a cost analysis for future maintenance of either option?
Yeah, we can do that. That's one thing that what I like to do with these studies is to put forward options that, for example, there might be one option that would get you into compliance. That's the cheapest option, but it'll have the most operational requirements. Whereas there might be a more expensive option to construct, but the thing's going to be easier to operate, require less work. But we certainly can provide estimates of operations and maintenance costs.
I think it's safe to say that through the report process, all of these types of things will be discussed in some way and not particular answer to any specific question right now, but that's something that Kathy and Tim can certainly participate in trying to narrow this down and get as much as we can out of it, yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
One-
No.
Just two quick questions.
One more quick one.
Two more, but okay, there'll be one question too. Do you cover the dredging aspect of it, and what about the floodplain down the river? Do you know anything about that? If it's affected, the dams removed or kept in, or those two questions?
Yeah, regarding dredging, that's something that we do. We design dredging projects for dam owners. That's a service we offer. That's not included in the scope here.
Okay.
Regarding the floodplain issues, that is a task item. The options that we present, we will comment on what the estimated floodplain impacts of that would be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you, everybody. I'm sure there's more questions to narrow this down. The basic question is the approval. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the study as presented in coordination with Kathy and Tim.
Yeah, we already have that.
Oh, we already had that. I'm sorry. We talked so long, I forgot about that. Good, okay. Are we ready for a roll call vote?
Hildebrand,
Yeah.
Nelson,
Yes?
Penquitz,
Yes.
Matstorm,
Yes.
Odekirk,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, Adam. We'll be in touch. Thank you, everybody, for that information. A lot of stuff to go through there, but there will be more to come. Moving on to
Appreciate it.
Moving on to item C, approval of an agreement for strategic planning services with CP Squared Consulting. City Administrator Tim Blakesley, you want to give us a summary on that, please?
Sure, I'll give a brief rundown. So strategic planning was identified as part of my city administrator, utility manager's 2023 to 2025 work plan. It was something I even talked about back when I interviewed for the position. I think it's important for council to really work with a consultant to assist us in strategic planning for the sort of near-term, 1 to 5 year focus for the city. The city did complete a comprehensive plan, but that's looking long-term, looking 20 years. So a strategic planning consultant really is establishing a clear direction forward to align to our mission and core values as a community. So I did interview 5 strategic planning consultants, and I recommend approval of an agreement with CP Squared Consulting. So Corey Plash would be the lead consultant for this project. She has served as the executive director of the Wisconsin City County Management Association and other local government roles. She comes very highly recommended. So overall, the strategic planning services would review our mission and vision. We don't really have formally set ones. Our former administrator, Brian Yurgis, kind of worked on a plan prior to him departing that really never got finalized, but it can still be used as sort of background as part of this process. We would conduct some stakeholder meetings. We would conduct a strategic planning workshop with the elected officials and senior management team, and then develop a strategic plan that would be available for the community to review. Overall, it would be a great way for the elected officials and also senior staff to get on the same page. It will give an opportunity for senior staff to let the elected officials know what they're seeing directly day to day in the community, and also for on the opposite way, for council to let staff know, what the priorities are. So we do this, yearly on a budget cycle, but it's nice to be able to plan, say, 5 years down the line, what are we as a council looking for moving forward. So staff does recommend approval of an agreement for strategic planning services with CP Squared Consulting in the amount of $10,500 plus lodging.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I make a motion, we approve an agreement for strategic planning services with CP Squared to help consult the city.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alder Nelson.
So I can't remember, was this in our approved budget?
Yes, so $8,500 was in the approved budget. The consultant price was $10,500, so a little above. Luckily, we, with the Dan Consulting Services, was a significant amount under budget, about $20,000. So we do have funding available for this project.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Odekirk.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
No.
Hanson.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Penkwitz.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. For the audience, we're now going to go into closed session. We'll ask you.
Get approval to push this out a couple more years yet? Is that possible, or?
Yeah, what we have found, it's hard to say is whether, I really can't commit to anything because I'm not the DNR, but in our experience, they're generally amenable to extending deadlines if they see that the community or the dam owner is making progress and that they're actually going to follow through on a project and they're not just stalling. So we haven't found any real problems with getting extensions in those.
Let the record show we're now back in open session. The discussion in closed session, we now have a discussion and action by the council. The chair will entertain a motion from closed session. Alder Nelson, you want us to do that?
Sure, I'll move that we direct staff to negotiate a final agreement on the purchase of up to 6 acres of parcel 5901215840 for the purpose of a new electric utility substation at a price of, it was what,
$23,000 per acre.
dollars per acre?
Correct.
I'll second that.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Tim.
Penkwitz.
Yes.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Odekirk.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Gilson.
Motion carried. Thank you. Chair, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.